sharim nava tehillah.
Eternally present, please join me. Your name is hallowed on high. And the psalmist sang, rejoice in Adonai, you righteous. Let the upright adorn you with praise. And we now invite one of our board members and her son, say mother-son presentation, Mary Gonzalez and Adam, for our High Holy Day appeal.
Shana Tova. It is my honor to address you today as a proud member of the Jewish community who was raised at Temple Beth Shalom. 2 years ago, I sat in this very service, listening to Mitch Cohen give a speech about the importance of donating to the temple. It was probably the first time I really listened to such a speech, and I was surprisingly moved. Mitch made me reflect on the significance of Temple Beth Shalom in my life. He evoked memories of the wonderful times I've had here and made me consider what would happen if this beloved place were no longer around. I realized I had to contribute. So I took out my own debit card, since my mom wouldn't give me hers, and filled out my little white donation card. Even though my donation wasn't large, it felt incredibly meaningful. I felt proud to support the temple. Temple Beth Shalom means the world to me. It truly feels like a second home. I feel comfortable and safe here, surrounded by people who know me well. I attended preschool at Temple Beth Shalom, and I still see Miss Anna, my teacher, from time to time. I can't believe she remembers me. It's also the place where I met my best friends. One of the most special aspects of Temple Beth Shalom to me is reflecting on what it meant to my grandparents and what they meant to the temple. Both were longtime members who cherished spending time with family here, especially during the high holidays. Their funerals remain core memories for me. The unconditional love and support I felt from the TBS community during those times truly made it feel like a family coming together. In those moments, I understood just how important this community is. As I mentioned moments ago, 2 years ago, I sat in this very service, listening to Mitch Cohen give a speech about making a donation to the temple. It was probably the first time I really listened to such a speech, and I was surprisingly moved. Today, the words I have shared might not have been enough to prompt you to pull out your debit card, but I do have the privilege and honor of introducing someone who might just be able to persuade you to consider doing so. This person has the most welcoming heart, serves others with humility, and remains true to her faith in every step. She loves greater than anyone I know and has shown me the importance of this place. I listened to Mitch Cohen that day 2 years ago, and I have listened to this person's guidance my whole life. Here to share what makes this place our home away from home is my mom, Mary Gonzalez.
Thank you, Adam. I am so proud of you. I am proud of you for donating to the High Holiday Appeal, and I'm proud of you for speaking today. New beginnings hold so much potential and endless possibilities. Starting life as a new mom filled me with excitement, hope, wonder, and a fair share of fear. My husband, Jose, and I longed to bring our children into a home that was welcoming, safe, and fun. The life of a new mother is one of tremendous growth, trial and error, and perhaps most profoundly, faith. Some say it takes a village to raise a child, and without a doubt, I am incredibly thankful for the village that I have found here at Temple Beth Shalom. I remember when my older son was about a year old. I was rushing through the social hall on my way to meet someone when an older congregant that I had never met stopped me. She asked me if I was Mary Hassan. It took my breath away. That was my grandmother, Mary Hassan, my namesake, who had passed away in 1974, and here it was 1997. I broke down crying and told the woman who I was. She hugged me, cried as well, and told me how much I looked like my grandmother. She shared what an exceptional person she was. Needless to say, the connection I felt to my grandmother and to the temple at that moment was and still is magical. Without my grandmother being physically present, I was reminded of the presence of her love in the village that was raising me in my new motherhood, and the village that continues to raise my husband, our sons, and me to this very day. The timing of the Jewish New Year has always made more sense to me than the Gregorian New Year. It coincides with new beginnings and matches our hopeful, optimistic mood. The weather is nicer, school has just begun, and kids are excited to reunite with friends. With their children back at school, parents have been hanging on for dear life over the summer, finally regain a semblance of order and normalcy in their lives. Football is back, and fans cling to the hope that this is the year that their team will go to the playoffs. Or not. Rosh Hashanah, too, is a time for hope and optimism. We are optimistic about being written into the book of life, and that this year we will better understand our personal and social wrongdoings and take steps to curtail them. As a lifelong member of this community, there is much to be optimistic about with Temple Beth Shalom in 5785. My family has been part of this community for more than 6 decades. Every corner of this campus holds a memory for me. Memories of my grandparents, my parents, myself and Jose, and now my children. That's 4 generations of commitment to TBS. This place has always been a source of comfort for me. I can't think of a time when it didn't feel this way. Growing up here, I learned early on that temple life behind the scenes requires a lot of work and commitment. My parents, may their memory be a blessing, demonstrated this through their endless hours of volunteering. They often encouraged, or nagged, me to get more involved, but I avoided it for years for various reasons, from not wanting to see how the kishka was made, or just simply being too busy. Looking back now, I am grateful for all their nagging. My family has helped build and sustain TBS, and it's something I am so proud of. Our high holiday appeal remains one of the most vital sources of income for the congregation, essential for funding crucial services and programs. Your contribution enables Temple Beth Shalom to fulfill its mission as a congregation of supportive, caring, and diverse individuals with rich and personal history. Temple Beth Shalom is a place of prayer, ritual, spirituality, learning, wholeness and healing, social action, and celebration. We are all here because we share a belief in the Jewish community, in creating Jewish memories, and making this place our home. This shared commitment is essential because it strengthens our bonds with one another and fortifies our faith. Your gift to the High Holiday Appeal makes it possible to fulfill this mission and is deeply appreciated. This past year has been one of heartbreak and at the same time a powerful connection for Jews around the world. On October 7th, everything changed for all of us in an instant. That day, my cousins in Israel and cousins in the United States began a group text to discuss what was happening in Israel. We craved the bond of our Judaism and of family. I was blindsided by how the events of that horrible day would affect me. My cousin, Arnon Benvenisti, a captain in the IDF, was killed in November in the northern Gaza Strip. That day, the war took on a deeper meaning for me. It was a reminder we are all connected. I was overwhelmed with my own grief about Arnon, whom I'd only met a few times about 20 years ago. Though he was not part of my day-to-day life, it was heartbreaking to know that his life could be taken away in an instant. He was my blood, my relative, my family, my faith. One second, we were texting and sending pictures, and the next moment, he was gone. It was a stark reminder that no matter the time and space, family is family. And in our faith, there is a Jewish unity that is stronger than distance and war. I am moved by the power of the Jewish collective. Despite the surge of anti-Semitism in the US and worldwide, we have understood that we are stronger together. Temple Beth Shalom is a place of peace and comfort that we can turn to even amidst the destruction and violence occurring around us. It is so powerful to be together and to show up for one another. In a world of so much uncertainty, we must be a community for one another and ensure we are here for generations to come. We need to solidify our foundation so we can continue to exist. Ultimately, if we have learned just one thing since October 7th, it is this: the power of the Jewish collective will always shine through. But the power of this same Jewish collective does not prevail only in a global way, but in a deeply personal one too. Starting out life as a new mom is exciting and hopeful, but requires so much faith. The thing they never tell you about becoming a new mom is that same strength it takes to start that season of life, the worry, the pride, the love you have for your children, never really fades. But what does change is watching your children, begin to choose their own paths, make their own decisions, and live their own lives. And that requires so much faith too. About 6 years ago, my older son Joshua, the same one-year-old who was on my hip in 1997, was in college. He had decided to take a leave of absence from school for personal reasons. He came home to finish up his remaining work and often chose to study at the temple rather than at Starbucks or a local library. Joshua was raised here. It was home for him. It was safe and comforting. I knew he had a home here, but the pride I felt seeing him choose this as his home was overwhelming. At that moment, I realized I had to help ensure Temple Beth Shalom would be around for generations to come. I recognized that I had taken this beautiful place for granted and hadn't truly comprehended or appreciated its value. Temple Beth Shalom has been my family's home away from home for 4 generations. It has been a welcoming home, a safe home, and a fun home. For 80 years, it has been the village that has raised so many of our parents, spouses, children, and friends. With our help, love, and financial support, it can continue to be that home for another 80 years or more. They say it takes a village, and from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for being mine. Now is a time for you to take out your pledge card to make sure that our home remains here for at least 4 more generations. Our goal today is $80,000 in pledges. With the support of generous donations by you all, I am confident we can make that goal. 2 families have graciously pledged to match donations up to $40,000. $20,000 match from Jeff and Karen Winston, and $20,000 match from Danny and Linda Weisberg. With their pledges, we're halfway to our goal. Can your family help us to make it to the $80,000? Adam, take out your debit card. Shana Tova.